Hello everyone, this is Five. We're checking out Marble Bounce. This is a game I've not played before. We're going to give it a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. I've got the game page open here. It says this represents a prototype build showcasing the basic movement mechanics of the game. The level being showcased is an obstacle course meant to reflect this. Expect movement, level design, art, music, and other mechanics, all to change over time. Place best on a controller. It goes on to list the controls here. By the way, I do have an Xbox 360 controller attached, so I'm going to be trying that out for this demo. It says roll is WSD, arrow key is left stick, jump is space, or bottom button, dash is, looks like it's going to be the left controller face button. Rotate camera, right stick, advanced movement, boing jump, jump after squishing on the ground, wall jump, perform a bounce after squishing on a wall. I'm not sure what the word bounce is referring to here. I don't know if it just means press jump again. That seems like the most intuitive thing, but crash is dash after jumping to crash into the ground. Interesting. Charged boing jump. Hold the jump button to charge and release it to a charged kind. Oh, a charged jump of any kind. Um, so presumably, if you could do a boing jump or a wall jump, you can also charge those or something to that effect. It goes on to say crash jump is perform any kind of jump right after crashing to the ground. Crash wall jump, perform a crash into a wall and time a wall jump. So I guess you can crash into the walls. The dash button. In any case, it says R or start is restart from last checkpoint. T or select start / restart speedrun mode. So yeah, a bunch of things here. I guess it's mainly like two different buttons, but apparently different things that we can do in there. So let's go ahead and drop the overlay. So yeah, first thing I noticed, I've not seen anything past the screen. This is kind of what the game loads. This is where you start when you launch the game. You might notice I'm rolling around a little bit, which is because I have the controller connected, and you can clearly see that there's no dead zone set, or else it's set to something very small, which means that even though my stick is basically in the neutral position, I'm still drifting slightly, which is not really something you want. Actually, whoa, wait a minute. Something, oh no. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, from what I can tell, so both the sticks have the issue where the dead zone isn't set properly. So that means that my ball is drifting around. The camera's also kind of drifting. You can see right now, if you look closely, it's actually rotating slightly right now. I'm not actually touching the sticks at the moment. So the camera's also rotating. So you definitely want to set those. Not only does it prevent this drifting, but you also get a lot of misinputs when you have the dead zone set too low. Um, it does depend a bit on the type of game, but like basically when the controller or when the thumbstick returns back to center, it's like slight inaccuracies can start putting in different inputs if the dead zone isn't there, kind of around the center point of the stick, which can lead to stuff that you didn't intend to input. So just set that to something reasonable. And it would be nice to have like an option in the future to set it manually. But I think like 0.3 is like a good starting point for a dead zone for something like this where it's presumably really high precision with the analog. You might want to set it to something lower, like maybe even like 0.1 or something. But it kind of depends on the player to some extent and what feels right for them, and maybe even what their the state of their thumbsticks or something. But in any case, so the other thing I noticed is that apparently the controls are kind of jacked up. So if I move the camera, the thumbstick is not moving relative to the camera anymore. So for instance, if I press straight down, you can see it's going straight to the right. If I press straight up, it's going almost straight to the left here. So apparently the controls are not up. They're not relative to the camera for some reason. Something's kind of jacked up here. So I don't know why that's happening. I'm actually going to try, just in case, I'm going to go ahead and close the game. I'm going to try relaunching it. I did plug in the controller after I started the game. Now, does it make sense that that would affect anything? I don't know, but just in case, it's easy enough to just relaunch the game here. So let's make sure that that's hooked into OBS. So yeah, without touching the camera, it seems fine. And if I turn like, yeah, so it's still jacked up. I'm gonna check the keyboard controls. Keyboard controls seem to do the same thing. So I can click and drag to move that. Oh, it is bouncy. The bounce effect is kind of weird because it kind of squishes against the floor and then kind of almost sticks to it for a moment before it bounces the next time. So it doesn't quite seem convincing. It's sort of cartoony, but it's not really convincing in terms of like the physicality of it. Because it does have that sort of noticeable moment where it almost kind of sticks to the ground before it bounces the next time. I'm not sure if there's a purpose to that. Is that supposed to be... No, it said before the boing jump is jump after squishing on the ground. So does that mean you have to time it to that moment where you kind of stick? Because that makes sense that it would be like... I'm just using the space bar here for now, which is why you can hear it so loudly. Okay, that's not very obvious. It does say down there. I appreciate this down here. That definitely helps. But the boing jump kind of just looks like... kind of just looks like a normal jump. Sometimes it goes a little higher and I can't quite tell why. But yeah, so it does make sense that it sort of sticks for a moment if there's a timing element there. That's perfectly reasonable. But yeah, so I guess in terms of like how can I actually play this? So when I restart the game, it doesn't reset the camera. So I think the only way to reset the camera is to actually relaunch the game. And then maybe I can try playing without moving the camera. I don't know if that will... I don't know how... Okay, I'll Alt F4 here. I don't know if there's any purpose to needing to move the camera. I mean, this kind of game, generally, it helps to be able to move the camera, I think, for certain precision things, but I don't know how else to play this right now, so I'm going to try and do that. The other issue is the fact that there's no dead zone on the thumbstick that adjusts the camera, so if I'm kind of unlucky, it's just going to move on its own, you know what I mean? So I'm not really sure if that's going to work out, but let's try playing a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to try not to touch the right thumbstick. It doesn't appear to be doing anything right now, but let's go ahead. I think if it says start to restart from checkpoint back to start speedrun mode. I don't know if that, maybe that speedrun mode activated, press T to restart speedrun. Okay. Okay, so the first time I press the button, it says speedrun mode activated, but the second time I press it, it doesn't say it's like turned off or anything. It just kind of restarts. So like I want to turn it off. You know what I mean? After turning it on. So that's kind of annoying. I don't know if it simply adds the timer in the top right there, but yeah, something like that. I just want to experiment with it to like find out what it is, but I also want to be able to turn it off again. This doesn't feel quite right. So I think, oh, I think I know. I think it's the dead zone. So what's happening is I'm trying to roll a bit, and then I return the thumbstick to neutral, and then it'll like suddenly it'll kind of roll, it'll veer off or whatever. Again, it's just because of the dead zone not being set right. So you can kind of deal with it, but it's still annoying. So A button to jump. There's a charged boing jump, and then the is there a purpose to? Seems like you can just hold that forever if you want to. I guess there's not necessarily a purpose to like trying to time this. Unless you really want to get like the shortest jump after with the boing jump or whatever. Boing jump doesn't really seem like a different jump. It just seems like you're jumping again. But it does. So there's this weird effect that if you jump, then you don't do anything, you have this sort of bounce effect after the main little squish happens, and then you kind of bounce a couple more times. And then you can't really jump again during that time. Because you're kind of off the ground most of the time. So it's a little weird in that way, because the little extra bounces kind of take that control away from you if you don't time with the original bounce. I'm not sure if that's meant to be like part of the game, part of the challenge of the game. A button after hitting A button. Okay. A button after hitting the ground to boing jump. A little hard to judge the distance here. Oh, okay. So just falling a far distance kind of makes that. Oh, that was kind of weird. I was trying to bounce a little higher there, but. So it's a little weird. Yeah, the thing is the boing jump doesn't seem to have any sense of consistency to it. So I can't really tell how far it's going to jump when I do the boing jump. I kind of feel like it should not only be kind of consistent, but maybe even like go like a little higher than it does, because as it is, it seems to, it keeps saying boing jump at the bottom, but like sometimes it's just kind of like a really small jump, you know? I kind of expect it to be something a little higher. It's sort of, obviously this isn't meant to be like exactly like, Super Mario 64 kind of thing, but it's kind of like with that game, when you do the second jump, you kind of expect it to be higher, right? Um, I don't know if it's just simply the Mario kind of training my brain to think that way, but I guess if you kind of, if you need it to be higher, you can try and do the charge. I guess if you try and reprogram your brain to think that way. I'm sorry about the mouse cursor on here, by the way. Also, the game is in a window. I didn't even think about that, but I can maximize the window here. That'll make it look a little sharper in the capture, I suppose. Um, yeah, I guess I can just charge it every time or whatever. This time I didn't have enough horizontal momentum there. I guess I can kind of slide. Oh, so I haven't used the dash button at all yet, but okay, that was a little weird. So that time I pressed and held the jump button, but I seemed to just kind of bounce off the ground without doing the charge thing. Not sure why that would be inconsistent. Okay, so that time it was. Um. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is wonky. Okay. Um. So if you jump and then you hold jump before you land on the ground, you kind of go into this squish mode where you charge the boing jump. But if you jump and then you go into the squish mode and then press jump, and you get the boing jump, right? But if you press and hold it at that time, it doesn't work. it does the boing jump, but it doesn't let you charge it. So you have to press it before you go into the squish state if you want to charge it. So that feels kind of unintuitive, you know, like as a player, it doesn't really feel like there's any reason why it should work that way, you know what I mean? So that would be something I would suggest changing. Hold a button to charge a boing jump. A little bit of a hitch there. I don't know what that was. Maybe something on my computer just happened, and this being in windowed mode, it might have done something. Get a bouncing start for a bigger boing jump. Yeah, I don't know what that. The boing jump seems wildly inconsistent. It doesn't. I don't know how to consistently make it go higher, apart from the fact that obviously you can just hold it and then get a charged boing jump. But bouncing start to get a bigger boing jump doesn't really seem to happen. So I'm not sure what precisely is meant by that, but let's keep going here. X button to dash. All right, so let's try the dash button. Get a little rotation. That feels cool. I like the little spinning of the ball that kind of throws you forward. Now if I do it in the air, that's cool too. Yeah, I like the way that feels. Ooh. Okay. Okay. This is a solid object above me. At first, I thought it was just like a little wall, but that makes sense. So there's something over there. I guess I don't want to touch the camera to look in that direction. Oh, okay. Hold the button after dashing to slide. Wait. Oh, hold A. Okay. So you keep saying A button, and I think you, rather than meaning the A button, I think you mean A button as in some button. um, just the way that that's written, it's a little confusing there, a little ambiguous. Use this one. Hold A button after dashing to slide. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then you can get the little L and R or right joystick to rotate the camera. Okay, I don't want to do that though. Even though this is precisely when I ought to be doing that. I do notice the sense of depth is a little wonky here. So for instance, I can't tell that this dot is on top of the thing and then this dot is below the thing. I mean, I could figure it out, but just looking at it, I can't really see that happening there. So I guess if you just put like a drop shadow under this or something, that would probably help. But there is a shadow that's going through this sort of solid volume here from my ball, which I mean, it's not hurting anything. Although, what the heck? I guess I'm inside of this cube. My brain's not completely comprehending. Or there's like a wall, and then okay, I guess there's a wall here, and then a floor. There's no sides to this, so it's a little bit um, hard to parse, I guess. Dash in midair to crash. Crash jump. That feels good. Boing jump after crash to crash jump. Which is cool, but again, it's just like a jump with a different height, right? It's not like a different sort of jump. It just. I mean, the end result is the same. It just jumps. It's not a different kind of jumping trajectory or anything like that. It does. We do have a big wall, which I'm apparently supposed to get over here. So I'm trying to press and hold here. Oh, charged crash jump. Okay, so that got me over. That wasn't explained though. Like it just told me how to do the crash jump. It didn't tell me that I could do a charged crash jump, right? Which apparently is even higher. That's cool. I like the. Oh, Hold on a minute. So I pressed the dash button once there and it didn't do anything. I gotta be careful for the dead zone, might throw the dash in the wrong direction. So it brings me up here. Oh, apparently while you're dashing you can kind of change direction in the air really quickly, which is interesting. Interesting. So I'm trying to test out. I don't know. There was a moment there where I pressed the dash button and it didn't seem to come out, so I was trying to test if there was like some way where it's like you had to hit the ground again before you could get the dash back, or I don't know what it was, but um, so this looks like I think just start to go back to checkpoint here. So I think I can just jump, then do this, and then looks like that worked. Okay, it was a little hard to line that up. So again, some of this comes down to judging sort of the perspective and depth of things and stuff is a little difficult because there's a degree of ambiguity here. So if I could stand still somehow, there we go. Like if you just took a screenshot of this, there's not really any way you can actually know where this platform is in relation to these. So you can make an educated guess that probably the developer just kind of put these in a line because that's kind of sensible, but this could very well be like on the same height, like the same y-axis position as these platforms, and just like move down here a little bit in this direction. That you see what I mean in terms of the ambiguity? It's a little tricky. I've never made a game of this sort, but I can imagine there are ways that you can kind of work around that. For instance, if you like made something connect here to here, you know, just like go down and like this, just some geometry or something that might kind of fix the ambiguity of the perspective, to help make judgments or something. But just something to think about in any case is just what occurs to me here. It's also just hard because I don't really know how far my moves are going to take me at any given moment, particularly like the height of the jumps and such. And this dash, you can't really. Okay, so when you do the dash, you can't really adjust the speed of it, so it kind of launches you forward, and then if you're trying to like do some kind of adjustment with the stick, it just sort of changes directions, which kind of feels a little bit out of control. So what you might want to consider is like, for instance, if I'm gonna dash to the left here, maybe if I press to the right in the middle of the dash, maybe it would like slow it down a little, just some amount of adjustment, kind of like what you do if you're just making a jump in the air, like you have a limited amount of air control. Like, oh, I'm gonna jump too far, I'm gonna overshoot it. Maybe I just want to press the other direction to slow myself down a little, or you know, the opposite or whatever. Maybe you want that for the dash as well, rather than this kind of crazy sudden change of direction that doesn't really quite serve the same purpose. Give you a little bit more control over that and where it's going to land. Boing jump after hitting a wall to wall jump. So I think it means like in between two things. Okay, boing jump. Oh, okay, so there's a little bit of a stickiness to the wall there. Okay, so I appreciate the little pauses when you hit the wall. Gives you that moment. And you can just press and hold again, so that's kind of nice. That was kind of weird though. Okay, it could be some element of just a little bit of input latency with the, for instance, with this having the VSync enabled and such. But there is that effect where if you like hit the wall before you press the button, you can't press and hold it anymore. I think that's still present here, so that also can make it feel like, oh, can make it feel like when you're doing the press and hold, it just doesn't work some of the time. That's probably the most annoying thing here, apart from the fact that I can't turn the camera. It's a thing that I notice most often here. It's a little wonky feeling. Oh gosh, well, I'm a little confused actually. What's going on here? So interesting. So some of the time it doesn't really have the pause. It's like when you jump into the wall, it has this pause on the wall, but sometimes it just kind of doesn't do that. Like if you're going too fast or something. Okay, so that time, yeah, you can definitely see that time it kind of paused every time it hit one of the surfaces. Oh shoot. Oh wait, is it okay? Oh, can I use the okay. Apart from the fact that does it move at 90-degree angles? Oh, it moves at 90-degree angle. I was gonna say that moves way too fast. Um oh no. Wait. Okay. I think it seems like I can move the camera with the triggers and it doesn't screw up my controls. But for some reason using the thumbstick it does. So let's try not to use the thumbstick. I think it'll be okay if we just do it this way. Yeah, not sure why some of the time it appears to not have the little stick effect there. I can kind of hold the dash button and it does this sort of, oh, why did it, what's going on with that jump? Why is it so short? It's like, I think the physics got jacked up or something because it feels like it's falling too fast. Or did I, yeah, okay. It seems to be back to normal now. So something, there must have been a little bit of a bug there. It got into a weird state. Something didn't reset properly or whatever. Yeah, I can kind of hold, I think I did it again. Anyways, what I've been doing is just kind of holding the dash button and it kind of does some weird stuff. Oh, that was a little weird. Um, but yeah, kind of just launching off the wall over and over again, holding the dash button. And then sometimes it goes in that weird state, I guess, when I get back in the ground. Something didn't reset or something. So it's like I'm falling too fast. I don't know. But in any case, a little bit of weird lighting there. Oh my gosh, that was very strange. A little hard to see. So it does seem like, okay, it does seem like when you use the dash, it does kind of crank up the gravity for a moment. So you can kind of notice that happening where you start like zooming towards the ground real fast. Which sometimes is cool, but you can get into some situations where it's like you're really out of control if you don't uh, hit the ground when you expect to or something and you kind of keep falling or whatever. Um, and yeah, so it seems as though okay, yeah. I think I'd prefer it if it didn't. So when you land and you just don't do anything, it kind of keeps bouncing. So I think I'd prefer it if it did the initial squash, but then it didn't like actually bounce again if you don't touch anything to make it bounce. Like maybe it would just kind of keep rolling. Like it wouldn't look the same, but the way it kind of takes the control away from you, I don't know. A little awkward. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Oh, I got the controls jacked up again. Oh, that's because I used the stick. I think. Okay. Nope. So it's not quite right here. I can't tell if the thumbstick. I think okay. I think the camera's rotating extremely slowly right now. Um, because again, there's no dead zone on the right stick, so it's hard to keep it from rotating from the stick, which is jacking up my controls here. All right, in any case, can I go up and down with that? All right, can't really see what I'm doing in here properly. My inclination is to grab the thumbstick to move the camera, so I'm trying not to do that. Okay, let's just roll up this. Chain a crash jump into a wall jump. Okay, so like this, and then I'm trying to charge it. All right, so I'm kind of hitting the wall a little too soon. It's kind of canceling out my jump height. It's a bit annoying because it's kind of hard to control. For one thing, the dash, it's a little hard to judge like where exactly you're gonna land, and then when you go into that was weird. I guess I pressed it on the ground here. Um, oh, interesting. When you go into the sort of slide when you're holding a squish at the bottom, you do still move horizontally a bit, so to take all that into account. Might be nice also to just have a button that makes it. I feel like I just want to sometimes just cancel out the bounciness. Like after I get up in the air, say I'm like mess up a jump or something, I don't really want to like wait around for this ball to stop bouncing before I kind of reset to a neutral control state. So I mentioned kind of, maybe you could just make it not bounce as much, but another thing you could do is just add like a button that just makes it so like if I just hold the button down, it kind of cancels out the bouncing, so I can just kind of reset my state and do what I want to do next. Um, that's kind of something I sort of feel like I want to be able to do that, um, which would certainly alleviate some of that downtime that feels kind of annoying, where it just feels like you're out of control for a little while. So I guess we can either go that way or go this way. I don't know, why would we go backwards though? Jump off ramps at high speeds to get some air. That's just gonna send me into the abyss, or okay, I don't really like the camera, what the camera's doing here. I guess I can kind of try and do this or something. This is okay, I think. Looks like the camera gave me a little bit of a oomph, little extra oomph there. I mean, what did I say? Camera. Looks like the ramp gave me a little bit of extra oomph there, a little bit of a boost, of some kind. Um, which is nice on one hand because it provides a certain sense of consistency where it's like maybe you didn't get exactly the right speed you hoped for, or maybe the physics just don't allow you to launch that high, so it kind of gives an extra boost, and it's like, okay, now you can get a good jump. Um, the thing that's annoying about it is you have to like time. Oh, I didn't want to bounce there. You have to like time pressing jump out of this or something. So when it just suddenly accelerates in the middle of the ramp, it's confusing. Like, when am I supposed to press the button to jump off of this, I don't know how to time this. One thing I thought of is I could just try to slide down. I'm gonna try it kind of normally again here. It didn't bounce this time. Oh, it didn't. It also didn't accelerate through the ramp. That was strange. Okay, yeah. I mean, the first time I got a jump, I felt like I was supposed to go over the wall or something. Maybe I'm not meant to go over the wall because I think I just fall down. I don't think there's anything down there. Started using the stick to move the camera again, so that kind of messed me up. But yeah, it's oh, almost falling off the edge there for some reason. I guess um, I'm just kind of holding straight left or straight right, but I'm not actually just going. It's just this issue of the perspective again. I can't really properly see what direction to push the stick um, with the camera angle and just the way that the slope is drawn here, I guess. But I guess that's just the nature of the thing. Yeah, it's really awkward trying to press the jump button to jump out of this ramp for some reason. I pressed it fairly early. That was a more reasonable jump, I guess. I'm gonna try one more thing with this on this side. I'm gonna try. I was hoping I could slide down this. It gave me a slope jump. That's kind of. Why is it oh, it's because of the dead zone, so it's dashing in the wrong direction here. So it's interesting because when you're not on a slope, you slide while you're in the charging state. It's very counterintuitive that on like a 45-degree angle like this that you wouldn't slide at all, but on a flat angle you would. Let's see what happens if I try to slide into the slope out from this. Oh, okay, yeah, so it just gets kind of janky there for a moment, but I mean the slope jump is fun, but yeah, it's sort of counterintuitive there. Let's try going down here. I can't see. Yeah, this is a terrible terrible camera for that particular situation. Well, I guess I'm here. I think this is. Oh, this is in the beginning. Congrats on making this far. You got it. So I guess we just. All right, that was a little awkward. Again, it's hard to judge the actual distance and even the height on these platforms because of lack of perspective elements here, making it kind of ambiguous. So between that and some trickiness to the controls, it's a little bit rough there. Shoot. I wanted to like get a jump, but I was kind of in this awkward sort of bouncing state. So again, I'm just trying to like press and hold the jump button, but just there's times when it just doesn't actually work, and I don't get the little jump charge effect. Okay, that wasn't it. Yeah, I don't really feel like extremely used to the controls. Like to feel like I can know what to expect without like stopping and thinking about everything. It definitely hasn't what's the word here? Instilled a sense of consistency for me. Oh gosh, so I slid off the edge. It just shot me downwards. Oh no, there it goes again. Yeah, that's. Hmm. I don't really know why it works that way. I kind of expect the wall jump to make me go up more, but it's sort of a lot of times just not really going up as much as sort of horizontally. And oops, that wasn't the right button. And something I'm noticing is with this dash in the air, although I like the fact that it kind of cranks up the gravity some of the time. There's a lot of times when you really don't want that to happen. So you just kind of want to use it for horizontal movement, and it ends up like shooting you downwards when you're trying to use it kind of in the air, because you're trying to do like these airborne things. Where the last thing you want is to go downwards, right? Okay, that time I was trying to press and hold again. Ended up just doing this boing jump for some reason. So yeah, it just seems intuitive to me to press the dash button to get into the wall and then to jump off the wall. But when I do that, it gives me like this really lame it gives me this really lame sort of horizontal bounce off the wall that doesn't bring me upwards the way I need it to. Interesting. So I guess if you dash on the ground, it doesn't really jack up your gravity the same way it does when you're in the air, so it actually makes it really consistent that way too. That's kind of strange. So I'm doing the wall jump, it's just not doing much for me. I don't know. Like I've done it quite a few times where it just didn't give me enough vertical movement to actually progress. It sort of make me wonder like why can I even do a wall jump that's so useless? All right. Okay. So again, you can't really adjust the dash once you get airborne. It's sort of, so if I stop and try and press and hold, wow. Okay. So I did press the dash button at some point in there, and it kind of went in this hyper horizontal movement state that kind of messed me up there. Why is this so? There's some weird inconsistency there with the walls where it doesn't stick sometimes, and you just kind of bounce off unexpectedly and suddenly. All right, I mean, take your time. This doesn't look hard, but the way the inertia works is a little bit. It's also the fact that the stick is messing me up. I think sometimes when you so when I change the camera angles, excuse me, when I change the camera angles, even with the triggers, it feels like there's a delay between changing the angle and when the controls update. I think the stick is still drifting a bit too, the right stick, so it's kind of screwing things up. Yeah, you can see it keeps drifting here. I can't get it to stop really. But in any case, okay, another thing I'm noticing. So interesting. Yeah, whenever you move the camera, it does some weird things. It's almost as if the right. So the controls kind of orient to the camera after the ball starts moving. So for instance, if I'm just like spinning this around, and then if I just press upwards, wait, I think it's like I go down and then I just spin this around. If I press up, you can see it kind of goes in the wrong direction, but then starts going upwards. So it's sort of like the ball starts moving, and then the instant that the ball starts moving in that direction, then it's like suddenly the controls kind of snap themselves back to the correct orientation for the camera, which is why I'm getting some absolute wonkiness there. But yeah, I just need to be a little careful here. And there's some wonkiness working against me. All this drifting with the the stick. Like I'm not doing all this movement. It's just the oh gosh, the dead zone. But this is like, this doesn't seem that hard. It's just some wonkiness with the dead zones that's really not doing any favors here. But yeah, that's pretty doable even despite all of that. Crash, wall jump by crashing or dashing into a wall followed by a wall jump. So, okay, so, whoa, that was weird. Apparently, if you dash into a wall jump, it intentionally kind of gets rid of your verticality. So, yeah, I don't like that. It's just, to me, it's so much more intuitive to have the wall jump behave somewhat consistently. So being able to have the ability to do this kind of dash in the air to add to your horizontal control, it just makes sense, and it may be from playing other games that work this way. It just makes sense to me to be able to, like, okay, if I need to get into the wall from where I am in the air, I use the dash, and then it launches me into the wall, and then I can do the wall jump. The problem is when I do that, it gives me a completely different kind of wall jump that's very useless, except in very particular circumstances, such as this one. Apparently, wow, that was very weird. I think the dead zone kind of screwed me there. But yeah, so unless there's a particular circumstance in which the developer has designed the level to use this crash wall jump, um, that's not the kind of wall jump I want. I just want like a normal wall jump out of the dash. That makes sense. So in my opinion, it's just so much more intuitive and useful, I suppose, to have a consistent wall jump, whether or not you're dashing into it. I think the benefits of that would outweigh the benefit of having this other sort of wall jump. That's certainly my immediate impression, because you could see how I was like struggling earlier trying to trying to. I think it's one of those. Yeah, you can see off in the distance that little back and forth between the purple walls. That was like, it seemed like it should be a lot easier than it was. So I can't really see where I'm going here. I couldn't tell where I was going to land or what I was going to hit. Again, it's sort of issues with the depth perception and um, perspective weirdness there. So that was definitely awkward because I was like, am I going to hit one of the purple things? I really couldn't tell going off that ramp there. So we just do, I guess I need to do like a charged jump or whatever, and then, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it has a cool feel to it just because this part was specifically made for it. But yeah, I think I just prefer to have more consistency overall in what the controls are giving me. Yeah, I can't tell where I'm gonna land or whatever. So try not to use the dash button here, because as I've learned, that's just going to mess me up. That's all for now. Good job. Travel down to restart in speedrun mode. So I suppose that this, oh, we just kind of, oh, there's a little teleport there. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep playing. There's definitely some elements of things that I really appreciate in here, but in ways that are kind of tricky. There's a lot of stuff that happens that it's like you don't really expect as the player. It just feels like everything is inconsistent, and because everything feels inconsistent, even as long as I spent like 1,415 seconds uh, screwing around in the last time through this obstacle course, I never felt like I had a complete grasp of the controls. They're not very complicated, um, but I didn't feel like I could just kind of move through an area without thinking about it too much. Just because of the familiarity with the controls. And the reason for that, I think, is just the fact that there's so many times where it's like I'm pressing the buttons and I'm not really getting quite what I expect, so I don't feel like I'm internalizing the controls due to the amount of inconsistency I'm experiencing. Um, so I definitely think there's ways that you could hopefully work out some of that. Yeah, even the fact that you have this little skip after you do the dash. Like if I just want to dash again immediately, I have to wait for it to stop this little bounce. Kind of bothersome. And the last time I died there, it was sort of like if I was able to dash and then sort of adjust it a little bit in the air, I probably would have been able to get onto the block that I wanted to. It's really kind of important, especially because of just the angle of things and the way things kind of work with analog sticks. Um, it's very normal to just not quite get the perfect angular direction for something like this, and just want to be able to sort of adjust it a bit. Because the way things tend to work with thumbsticks is you're almost guesstimating a specific direction whenever you press the stick in the real world, and you kind of look at the game to give you feedback, and then you kind of make the adjustment if you need to make sure you're going in the right direction. It's not that you know the absolute direction to move your thumb physically to get a certain result on the screen. You need a little bit of a feedback. So, um, well, understanding there's going to be a little bit of a lack of not precision, but accuracy in the stick control there. It's helpful. But I'm just rambling at this point. But hopefully this is useful. Yeah, I really like the concept of this, and I can see there's some thought put into things. I actually quite like the idea of the slide effect. Does that actually slide more on this sort of, I assume it's glass, or is that just me causing that to slide? Okay, I think it might actually slide a little bit more on this surface, which is interesting because it introduces that concept of you could have slidey surfaces that might lead into some things. But sometimes I was thinking like it might be kind of cool if I could actually slide a little bit more than I do, or like a little bit faster or something. I'm not sure if that would mess you up in some spots, but I think that's something that feels cool and that you could make good use of. So maybe having different surfaces that have different properties like that is the way to go. But um, just having the ability to do that, I think, is a fun feeling thing that you could make good use of. Um, and yeah, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the old Super Nintendo game Kirby Dream Course. And sometimes I'm not sure if maybe the developer was inspired by that, for all I know, but not the same kind of game. That's like a golf game basically. But in a sense, it sort of feels like this, but if you could only like in that game, you can only control it from like when you first launch the Kirby ball, and then it sort of does its own thing. So obviously, it's like a different genre, but kind of the physics sort of give a certain similar feel to that, and the way it spins and stuff. Like you can put spin on the Kirby ball in that game. And in any case, so yeah, I mean that's all conceptually quite interesting, but hopefully this will help you out to perhaps tighten up some of those control elements. And let me know if you have any questions. and I'll see you in the next video.